Hello, I'm David Carter, and I'm the author of my first book right here, Our Mysterious Lives. Uh, and I think you will find that it's a very good book to read. It's well worth the effort to get one. I'd like to tell you briefly how I came to write this book. I'm about 71 years old, and several years ago, about the time I was getting ready to retire from teaching, I taught math and science in high school, so that's physics, trigonometry, biology, and that type of thing. I taught 10 years, and then I went into industry for 20 years, where I actually used mathematics, and then 10 more years of teaching, and then I was about ready to retire. Um, about the time I was getting close to retirement, I happened to read the book The Da Vinci Code, written by Dan Brown, and the book was quite compelling for me. One thing it brought out was, and this is from the Nag Hammadi codices that were found, and the book of Philip, it says that Jesus actually used to kiss Mary Magdalene, probably on the mouth. So there's a lot of fiction in the book, but it indicates, if you read the book, it indicates that possibly Jesus was married to Mary Magdalene, and when Jesus was crucified, Mary Magdalene and her daughter Sarah moved to Egypt. And after some amount of time in Egypt, they left and went to southern France and probably founded what was called the Cathars. And the Cathars had somewhat of a Gnostic tone to their religion, instead of a little different from the Catholic Church. So during the times when the Spanish Inquisition, most of the Cathars were wiped out. 200,000 of them were burned, hung, whatever they did, but they were basically backed out. But that's what I got out of the Da Vinci Code. Now, long about that same time, I was able to view on PBS, which I watch quite frequently. There was a serial that came on about once a week, usually on Sunday afternoon, and I would come home from church. I don't know if I was a Christian at the time. I probably behaved as a Christian, but I don't know that I ever really was a Christian. I didn't believe all the fundamentals of Christianity. But anyway, the Naked Archaeologist was the name of the show, and the producer has it's Jacobobi or something. I can't say it. I sure couldn't spell it. But the Naked Archaeologist has nothing to do with a person being naked or anything like that. It gets the name from the fact that the producer goes all over the Middle East, and he goes to places like what might have been the cave where John the Baptist lived. I went to the place where the burning bush was, and a number of other places that where Jesus was crucified and where he was buried. So Jacoby, or whatever his name is, he lays the evidence bare to let you decide for yourself. Then I began to see debates on television, and I ran into some debates that included some very strong Christian ministers and some atheists. There used to be a group of atheists called the Four Horsemen, and the Four Horsemen were Sam Harris, who is a neuroscientist and also a philosopher. Richard Dawkins is a famous biologist, and he's one of the biggest well-known atheists in the world. Dan Dennett is a neuroscientist and a philosopher, and Christopher Hitchens, who was actually a journalist. He was a strong atheist, and together those four were called the New Atheists and sometimes called the Four Horsemen. Now, Christopher Hitchens eventually passed away. He's not with us anymore, and he died of throat cancer. But he never denounced his beliefs and his atheism. So take a look at the book. You can purchase it from my website, which is davidcarterslibrary.com, and no apostrophe on the S. Or you can take a look at the book on Amazon. So give it a try. There's lots of things in here about religion. There is an agnostic tone, but my background being in science, there's a lot of science, there's a lot of history, and a lot of archaeology. So give it a try.